So Senator Gillibrand has made several stops around the state to talk about this Made in America program. One potential challenger is hitting the road as well, and he is offering up his thoughts on how to improve the economy. Nassau County Comptroller George Maragos has been attending events upstate this week, including a stop at the Delaware County Fair today, where the senator also was. Unfortunately, they did not cross paths. Mr. Maragos is joining me now from Binghamton. Comptroller, thanks very much for being with us.
Liz, thank you for having me back.
So you and Senator Gillibrand did not actually have any words today, but she is upstate pushing her jobs program. I wonder what your response is to what she is proposing, which is essentially grants to help businesses grow.
Right. We put out a press release, Liz, about three weeks ago, criticizing that effort as being insufficient, providing more grants, more training, to suffering manufacturing and other small businesses is not the solution as long as our economy remains uncompetitive on a global scale. She's not addressing the fundamental causes of that lack of competitiveness that we need to address. What she's talking about is grants which are more spending and higher taxes which are counterproductive and will continue to drive jobs away rather than stimulate economic development and growth.
Okay, so your alternative would be what then?
The alternative that we're proposing is that we simplify our tax code to provide incentives to manufacturers. Actually, we should not be taxing production, but rather consumption. We should be aligning our monetary, our trade, and foreign policy to level the playing field against our foreign competitors, against China. We should be taking China to task for their anti-competitive practices and policies, such as currency manipulation and rampant theft of intellectual property, which is a component part. Yes.
Sir, let me just interrupt you for 1 second. When you say taxing consumption instead of production, can you explain what that means?
No, what I'm saying that we should reform our tax code so that we do not tax production here in the U.S. rather than encouraging it and taxing consumption.
So what does that mean?
Which is what a lot of the other countries are doing it. Well, it's simplifying the tax code, which means taking away incentives that we give to companies to manufacture overseas and import into the U.S. We should be rewarding small companies and organizations that manufacture here in the U.S. and are creating jobs here in the U.S.
Okay, all right. You also have been highly critical of the senator, and we should point out that you are not yet formally a candidate, but you are merely exploring your options, and we'll get a little bit into that in a second. But you were very critical of the senator and her decision to vote no on the debt deal. You said actually that indicated to you that she favored shutting down the government. So you would have voted yes, is that right?
Oh, that's correct, and I think I indicated so in the last program where we met, Liz.
Yep.
A no vote on the part of Gillibrand essentially meant no compromise, no raising of the debt ceiling, checks to retirees, and would not be going out, which is what the Democrats themselves wanted to avoid.
Well,
so her no vote is totally inexplicable.
So then similarly, you also oppose the no votes that were cast by members of your own party?
Yes, I said we should vote to raise the debt ceiling, but at the same time there should be conditions imposed to reduce the government spending, which was the outcome that was finally reached.
And you were satisfied with that outcome, and you're satisfied with the super committee. You believe that despite the fact that the super committee has membership, some of whom are digging in their heels when it comes to taxes, for example, tax increases, particularly on the GOP side, you're satisfied that that committee actually is going to be able to come to some kind of agreement?
I think it was the best compromise that could be had at the time, given the 11th hour. I think there's more work that needs to be done to reduce costs, reduce government expenses, and come closer to a balanced budget.
I just want to get your opinion on some of what we've been focused on lately from the Republican Party in terms of the presidential field. Do you have a candidate at this point that you're supporting?
Not yet. No, I have not decided on a candidate.
And some members of your party are hoping that, I don't know, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie gets in. Former Governor George Pataki is thinking about throwing his hat into the ring. Rudy Giuliani, maybe even, former New York City mayor. Do you think that the field as it stands now actually is insufficient?
I'm not sure. I think every candidate that is seriously interested should make the decision themselves whether they want to run, whether they're prepared to make the commitment and they have the resources to do so. That's an individual and a family decision that they have to make. So far, I think we have a diverse field. We have a number of good candidates on the Republican side, and I think we're going to end up with a very strong candidate that will be successful and win the election in 2012.
But you're starting also to see some of the ideology on behalf of these candidates come out extremely far to the right. For example, Texas Governor Rick Perry says that he does not believe that global warming exists, essentially. I mean, do you agree with that statement? And if you don't, does it concern you that perhaps middle America, so when it comes to the general election, is not going to be able to go for that?
Well, I'm not sure. I think a lot of the theories on global warming have been discredited. There's certainly data that points in the direction of global warming, but its significance has not been quantified yet. So I think it's premature for us to be rushing to pass more regulations to penalize our industries and send more jobs overseas.
But do you believe that the current field of the GOP candidates, and then subsequently also some of the people who are running for Senate, are very far to the right, which skews the party? In a place like New York, it's difficult for a person like yourself to win, where you have a Democrat-dominated electorate.
Well, I'm not sure you can make that accusation. I think a number of the candidates, I think the press in some instances tends to highlight, some of those more conservative positions that they take. But on the whole, a number of the, certainly the leading candidates are balanced and middle of the road that I think will be very appealing to New Yorkers.
And to you, that includes, for example, Michelle Bachmann, who is the leading candidate. Do you consider her moderate?
I prefer not to, comment individually, but I think collectively as a team, as a group, I think they're a very capable group that will make an excellent alternative to what we have right now.
So you've actually spent a lot of time traveling around. You're clearly versed on the issues. You're obviously spending some time getting to know the people of New York. You've got an exploratory committee that you seeded with about $100,000 of your own money. What's your timeline? When are you going to make a decision and declare your candidacy?
Liz, I've already declared that. I'm happy to reaffirm today that I am running for the U.S.
So you're out of the exploratory phase and you're in. You're out. You're all 100% in.
Yes, I am.
Okay, got it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I intend to win.
Okay. So how are those inroads going? The discussions with the Conservative Party, with the Republicans upstate, in Delaware, and elsewhere?
I think they're going very well. I've been to every event, both conservative and Republican, over the past 3 months. I've been well received. Certainly, a lot of the people relate to the issues that I'm talking about, and I'm very optimistic. I'm actually charged up, and my energy is only increasing, and my focus and determination has continued to increase as I see a clear path that we can win, both, of course, get the nomination first, but succeed in the general election.
The last time around,
there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Well, running statewide is a big deal. Last time around there was a three-way primary. Actually, you had Blakeman and Mr. DiaGuardia, former congressman, who ended up being the candidate, and you also had David Malpass. Two of those guys, DiaGuardia and Malpass, made some noises about maybe wanting to run again. Have you spoken to either of them? Are you hoping to avoid a primary?
Yes, I would hope that we avoid a primary. I think it's going to be a difficult race as it is. I'm not underestimating the challenge, and sooner the party comes together and backs a single candidate, the better our chances are going to be next November.
Have you met with either Malpass or DioGuardi on that?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, Mr. Maragos, it's great to see you. Welcome back to upstate. I'm only sorry we're not seeing you in person, but I'm sure here in the studio we will have you again. Thanks very much.
Liz, thank you for having me again.
It's very good of you to drive to Binghamton. Thank you.